Welcome to our epic ocean, where critical solutions to a planet in peril are brought to the surface. Our epic ocean celebrates all that is epic about the ocean and why it is the planet's most vital resource. And now to our host, Rich German.
Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Rich German. David Katz, founder of Plastic Bank, Epic Human Being. Welcome to our Epic Ocean. How are you, brother?
Yeah, Rich, I'm amazing. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you're doing as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things today. There's so many things I'm excited to talk to David about. And I think I could break it down into 4 P's, actually. The first P is the word passion. I've been a coach in the personal development and business area for over 20 years. And one of the things I've done for a long time is help people really discover and live their passion. And that's the number one thing I love about David. He absolutely embodies passion. It's like when you squeeze an orange, what do you get? You get orange juice because that's what's inside. Well, I'm going to squeeze David here and we're going to get love and passion out of David. No doubt about that. The second P is the word poverty. I'm going to have David share his plastic bank model. And what I love most about it, beyond the fact that they're helping to prevent plastic from going into the ocean, is they're helping people to rise out of poverty. And that is a beautiful thing. The third P is plastic. I'll tell you what, David, I paddleboard every day here in Laguna Beach, California, which is one of the most pristine places on the planet. And I see plastic every single day. And you are going into some of the places on this planet that are just laden with plastic on the streets and waterways, and the fact that you are helping to prevent that plastic from going into the ocean is a beautiful thing. And then the final P is the word partnership. I've had a business for a long time based on collaboration, based on partnership, and Plastic Bank also is all about working together to solve the problems that the ocean and the planet is facing. And speaking of partnership, I'm actually personally excited because we are unleashing something called the Epic Ocean Challenge. And I'm excited that we are partnering with you, David, on this. And the reason we are doing that is to help raise money for you to further your work to help fight poverty and plastic. So David, again, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, Rich, amazing. There's a few. Thank you. Beautiful accolade. I'm always humbled by any time someone says something. I receive it powerfully. And it's not poverty necessarily,
okay,
in the traditional sense, but it's creating a space for people to know that they're not impoverished, that they have the ability to transcend the confine that they believe that they're in. And there's a paradigm inside of that, where many think, well, oh, what you do is you make sure that they have some food and a few things. That doesn't end poverty. What ends poverty is the mind of the soul, so that they themselves see themselves with opportunity and hope.
Yes.
It's a different conversation.
A very different one. We're going to get deeper into that. I want to take you back, though, because I want to dive into how Plastic Bank came about. And I want to start with the ocean itself. When did the ocean first inspire you? And how to this day does it continue to inspire you?
My father was a mariner. He was an immigrant. And his first role was in the Israeli Navy, the very, very, very first Israeli Navy ship. And toured much of the world when he was in his late teens. That connection to the ocean stayed with him, and that was the life that I grew up in as well, living on the very west coast of Canada, growing up on an island. No surprise that our family home was across the street from the beach. The time that my father wanted to be himself was on a boat. The more treacherous, the more at home he felt. The journey includes him building a 47-foot sailboat by himself from the hull up, sailing to Mexico and back, predominantly by himself. I had joined him in pieces of that journey. The ocean and the ocean's edge or what I know. Perhaps some of what I do, we would argue that all of what I do, I would argue that all of what we all do comes from the summation of every decision and every experience that we've ever had. You do today from what you already know.
Correct.
You see what you already believe. For 35 years, 40 years as a child, until this sixth decade of my life, I watched the degradation of my beach. And in my experiences and my travels around the world that took me as well to the ocean's edge, because that is where I am from, I as well witnessed the degradation of those shores. It's been in my realm of thinking for almost 40 years. It surprises me sometimes where people believe that marine debris is a modern phenomenon, believing that it just occurred. It was something we did a few years ago that has led us to a mass extinction. But it's not. It's the thinking that has made it so. And inside of that, as I think we'll explore, it is a change of thinking that's required to solve the problem.
Correct. So let's go into how Plastic Bank came about. So it was in your blood, the love for the ocean. It was a physical thing too, living on the edge of the earth, as I'm blessed to do also. How did that evolve over time? And I don't know this story, by the way. I'm curious. How did that evolve into the Plastic Bank model and this whole concept that plastic is gold, that plastic is currency?
For context, the Plastic Bank is a global chain of stores for the ultra poor, those that make less than $1 a day. Hundreds of millions, a billion plus, that can now use garbage to pay for the things that they need the most. You see the stores offer everything from school tuition and medical insurance and Wi-Fi, cooking fuel, just access to what's needed to provide the space for the individual to see past today, to end poverty. It's a paradigm shift for the world. So ultimately, we've grown a global chain of branches, including hundreds of schools and places of faith and just locations around the world. We're Haiti, Indonesia, Philippines, Brazil. We continue to grow. We're really excited by what's happening in Egypt. We have Cameroon slated as we tackle the Ivory Coast and the west of Africa. Vietnam has taken a little bit of a slowdown as a result of some dealings in communism, which we will persevere through. Thailand, we continue to grow and return mass volumes of material. See, the material we collect is what's called social plastic. So the plastic itself that has been used as money by the world to help end poverty is then repurposed back into packaging again, completely closing the loop. We are a comprehensive circular economy model, not just once, but multiple times. Every time packaging is used, poverty ends, and we're an economic development firm working in the areas that need us the most.
How'd you come up with the idea, though? Was it,
alchemists.
Did you want to figure out, did you want to solve plastic? Did you want to solve poverty? Did it hit you in an aha moment in prayer and meditation?
They came together. I wanted to, my origin, the way I be in the world is to help those who can't speak for themselves, to advocate, to protect. Naturally, I naturally want to take pain away. And you know, and in being in the ocean's edge, being aware of it. So, you know, being open to seeing what is occurring in the world, to see the degradation, to see animals dying. One of the great catalysts was the work of Chris Jordan, a photographer from Seattle, who traveled out to Midway Island to photograph the decomposing corpses of albatross chick, the starving foal. It catalyzed me further. So I was looking. I've always been an entrepreneur. I was looking for a solution. I knew something had to happen. I knew that the world wasn't going to stand by and let the ocean die. Something was going to occur. I began searching, or at least it was in my context to look. I attended an event at Singularity University, working on the Global Grand Challenges, and it was there in May the 11th, 2013, that I was able to witness Avi Reichenthal, the CEO of a company called 3D Systems, talk about additive manufacturing, and he was exhibiting this brown belt manufactured from a single solid strand of plastic that, with a heated nozzle, changed the form of the single strand of plastic into a belt. When I asked, well, what was the price of the material, Avi? Well, $10. Well, what did it sell for? Well, it's $80. Well, the belt sells for $80, but it was $10 worth of material. And in that very moment, all the hair on the back of my neck stood up. Because I recognized that the only thing that revealed the value of that material, the price of the material, was its shape. And thereby I recognized as well at the very same time that what has people think the plastic is free, worthless, useless, is as well its shape. So perhaps let's not change the shape of the material, but the way we view the material, and that could as well be a catalyst to change. It's no surprise that most of the plastic entering the ocean is coming from areas of poverty. It's not Laguna Beach. It's not using straws in Idaho. Ridiculous. When you live in extreme poverty, when you're in Haiti or somewhere like that, there's no garbage truck. There's no food. And you have the canal, which is just a sewer. And you throw all of your waste in the sewer. And of course, it flows to the ocean. That is predominantly 80% of the material flowing in the ocean is coming from those areas. So if I was going to solve the pain of marine life, I knew that really what was behind it was poverty.
The pain of the people.
Pain of the people. So we had to solve the pain of the people to solve the pain of the ocean. It's just asking why or how. It's looking deeply. It's investigating. And I think it's important to mention as well, and I think something I like to talk about a lot, is that everything we're doing, everything that the United Nations stands up for in their Sustainable Development Goals, none of it is against the laws of physics.
Explain.
It is only thinking that's required. Thinking. A new way of thinking can solve it all. Nothing has to be invented. We don't have to bend time. No new way of process or some technology doesn't need to be invented. It's all available. Just the application of it.
I'm going to take it further, David. You're obviously a deep thinking person. I've known you for a long time. This is the first time I've had the chance to interview you, by the way. I look at you as not only a deep thinker, but a deep feeler. It's one thing to think.
Sure.
I look at you as more of a feeler than a thinker. You had the foresight and the thought to come up with this concept, but you have the depth of feeling to give a shit, to do something about it, to want to help. So I don't know. I come from the premise that my feelings lead to my thoughts. If I'm feeling something, that will create my thoughts, which lead to the inspired action.
Yeah. That's a rabbit hole. That's
We don't have to go down that rabbit hole as much as
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge, to me, I don't think of, oh, David's this deep thinking man, not to insult
Yeah.
your depth
Thank
of
you.
your
No.
thought, but I look at you as a deep feeling man
Yeah.
who cares like no one else that I've met when it comes to helping people.
Yeah, it's a lot said in all of that. I don't want to lose the previous point as well, though, because it wasn't just. I think that what I'm proud of is not necessarily the idea of the plastic bank. It was the courage required to start.
Yeah.
I'm confident that untold riches for the world have been lost because someone was afraid of what someone else may think. What amazing ideas, what ways of being have been available to us.
That was actually my next question. So you come up with this idea. Who, if anyone, did you have to convince this was a good idea in order to advance it forward?
Everybody. People couldn't conceive of it themselves. What, David, you're going to create a monetary system? You're going to create a global integrated supply chain working in areas of poverty, illiteracy, extreme violence, degradation. You're going to then try to put lipstick on that and engage the biggest brands in the world, the biggest users of the material. You're going to work in areas of extreme corruption, work in logistics to return it authentically, and then simultaneously continue to advocate for family and prohibit the employment of children, while building an organization that can facilitate that in a predictive, reliable, process-focused way. A big task. My life's been threatened. We've had collectors murdered. We've had fires, shootings. We've been through it all. In my personal journey to where we are today, I overcame the loss of a child, all kinds of stuff. So I had to keep going.
What keeps you going?
It's a purposeful life, Reg. It's a purposeful life. It is a rich, remarkable world. I get to participate in it. I look for and experience the untold gifts that are infinite. I win the most in all of this. I get to become the person who gets to do this. And it's just a whole different thing. Indescribable, really.
That goes back to the courage that to
Yeah.
me, it takes courage to be the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Where do you get that?
It's courage to be vulnerable. I mean, your conversation of who did we have to convince, like that as well. Who did I have to convince? I had to convince self.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I had to do. I had that May the 11th, that thinking with the idea, the hair on the back of my neck, thinking about what was occurring and, oh my goodness, plastic is money for the world. That could be a solution. And I knew there was life in it. So I had these three thoughts. That was the first thought. Second thought was, who are you to do that?
Mm.
How could you possibly? With what money? How would that work? Impossible. You're not the guy to do that. Ego mind showed up, said no. Conscious mind came third. I had a moment of awakening, not anticipating, looking, knowing that it existed, but it appeared. I received a gift or a blessing. I'm not sure what I received, but I heard in a quiet voice say, David, you don't need to be the person who could do that. You only slowly need to become the person who could. And it was that thinking that set me free.
Say that again. That is good. You don't need to be that person today. You need to become that person.
Correct.
Which means I have my interpretation, but what did that mean to you?
Well, every day I could become 1% better.
Exactly.
And then it's exponential, because when you become 1% better on 101%, you're now 100.101% better. And it continues to grow. And so I get the gift of all of that. And the biggest gift is not what I've had to learn, but what I've had to give up. I think more appropriately. It's not about being anything. It's about stopping being, or stopping thinking that I am a way or something finite. That has really been the unlock of my life. Is that everything that I thought that I was, or thought that I could be, was a finite way of thinking in an infinite universe. And whenever you bring forward what you think you are already finite. Where I get to strive for the infinite. Strive for the exponential. I had an experience in Haiti in the very early days when I was there. And we began and we created a cooperative model where a small community owned the license in the end. And they were able to flourish. And I had this experience with this man with 2 school-aged children look at me and say, David, this is the first time I could see my little girls going to university. And he had this big pause. And you could see the poverty leave him. Mm. It was the first time that he had expressed a long time horizon. He saw past the pain of today and could see 10 years in the future. I've used that story because it was so deeply touching and profound. I've always expressed it as witnessing him and having poverty leave him, but I think more appropriately what I experienced was poverty leaving me. And I was able to see newly.
It sounds like it's not technology that's going to, quote unquote, save the world. It's a shift in our thoughts and our mindsets.
For sure.
Individually. What I'm hearing is you are able to elevate your own level of consciousness.
Yeah.
And that created a shift in everything around you.
It's what's arrived. I didn't know that that's what was occurring. I didn't know that that's what I was doing at the outset, but that 1% better turned out to be an exploration of consciousness. It became an awakening. And that is the realm of my study. It's the realm of my exploration today, is in levels of consciousness, spirituality. Yeah. It's brought me to the Bible. It's brought me to kind of the infinite space of God. It's brought me to everything. I would have never communicated that in the past. Never would have I ever communicated or considered myself to be spiritual or philosophical ever. But now deeply, deeply so. It's been such a remarkable journey, Rich. Like I get it all. It's a beautiful thing for me. And my children get to witness it. They see who I get to become. Something they get to emulate.
It's a win-win.
It's the model itself. It's a virtuous cycle. Everything, everybody wins. Everybody wins. We all win more effectively when the rest of us win more effectively. And for us being ultimately becoming a brand solution, when the consumer wins, then the brand is winning. If the brand is winning, then the ocean is winning because the collector is winning and the plastic is winning. It even becomes new again. Everything is renewed, restored, regenerated. There's no one that doesn't win. That's just a different way of thinking outside of the traditional shareholder first mentality.
That's the opposite. It's for me to win, you have to lose.
Me
against
well,
you.
I believe with all great intention that perhaps what America is experiencing is the degradation of a philosophy where I need to win, I'm going to win, but others have to lose for me to win. And you see, it's a very finite way of thinking. Now I get it, but there's even more when I reach out and say, well, everybody will win. It's an abundance mindset. An abundance mindset.
100%.
The world is infinite. It's infinite. It's infinite. Everything that you want is available in an infinite capacity.
So based on this infinite mindset that you have, tell me, what's your big, sexy dream? If it was as good as it could be, what would you accomplish through your organization?
I would just have joy daily. It's the litmus test. In that place, you see the business is there as an instruction, not an obstruction. You see the business, the plastic bank, will be in direct correlation to who I be in the world. My role in the organization is to be the person who brings this to life.
What's the impact? Like, I'm assuming you want this to live on long after you are here.
Of course, yeah, in perpetuity.
Yeah.
It should live in perpetuity. I do everything I can to not be a figurehead. It can't be. What happens to SpaceX or Tesla when Musk dies? Is Apple really performing the way that it was when Jobs was around? I don't know. I need to build something for the world, by the world, for the world.
Tell me the impact. Tell me the impact you think you can actually make. Because to me, as much focus as there is on plastic,
yeah,
kind of seems like the problem is getting worse.
Yeah,
I'm hoping your model and other similar organizations that are
Yeah.
helping on this challenge, I hope that they are making an impact. Me, probably like you, feel like we no longer have the luxury of time. Like, as this problem gets worse,
we never did.
we need to make changes here. But what is the impact you think can actually be made?
I know the question, but I want to answer that the impact can be in the thinking of the people who encounter it. The impact may be untold, immeasurable, if we launch other people who think differently, who find new solutions to things, who find the courage to persevere. See, that's the being of it. That's the thinking of it. I don't believe in copyright, but the right to copy. I want to share it. We need an army of solutions by an army of people. We don't have time. The ocean can't wait. The environment can't wait. Humanity can't wait. People are dying. People are dying as we speak from preventable disease, from inequality, because they weren't thought of.
Yeah.
Impact for the plastic bank. We're into the billions of bottles collected, billions. But yet it is just a drop in the bucket. We're just beginning to scale. We're really just beginning. I mean, if we're going to make any impact at all in the ocean, there's around 12 billion kilograms of material entering the ocean every year, roughly a $12 to $24 billion value. flowing down the drain. We have to build an organization that is capturing that value plus and then returning it into an economy. If we truly want to make an impact, we have to some element, interrupt virgin plastic production. I'm a big fan of plastic. I think it's just, it'd be irresponsible to eliminate plastic.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I value it. I want to go and collect it all. And I'm of full recognition that we do not need to make any more. Great, plastic's fantastic, it's valuable. Let's go collect it. Let's reveal it as the valuable material that it is. It's not discardable. We see what occurs when we do. It's not discardable. Okay. So those conversations have to end.
So yeah. And what you said a minute ago, scaling is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to scale what you're doing?
What do we need to scale? You know, we need to continue building a sales force. We need to continue to build sales methodology, training. We need to continue hiring and training sales. That we're really in a place to be doing that now. You know, supply chain needs to be built. There's just the business process itself that needs to be built. There's all of those things. We continue to invest in the technology. It's a blockchain-based banking application, because what's inside it, one of the powerful ways that we bring in people into financial inclusion and give them hope and space is that the more often that they transact the material and the higher the quality of the material, the credit rating that they earn is increased. So they earn a credit rating, they earn financial inclusion, and they earn the ability to receive immediate loans without having to apply. The more they collect, the more they're able to borrow against and then repay with plastic. And then there's the gamification, incentivization inside of it. We build out a North American model for that as well, so that you as a consumer would be able to take your recycling, take some value, and then deposit it into the account of the poor around the world. So we have to build and scale and grow and do. You know, more money always throws gas on the fire. It makes things faster.
For sure.
We're still profitable, which is miraculous on its own. We're growing beautifully. We're in the tens of millions in revenue, and still just a drop in the bucket.
Tip of the iceberg. Tell me more about the blockchain model. How do you use it? Why do you use it? How'd that come about? It's a complicated topic for most people, including myself.
Well, but the blockchain's not. It's just a database. It's a database. People think cryptocurrency, blockchain, cryptocurrency. How does that work? Well, what? Bitcoin? It's zero, nothing. The cryptocurrencies use the blockchain for authentication. Got it. But the blockchain itself is just a database that has the ability to be distributed so that everybody can have access to it. And the blockchain are just little blocks of data in a chain, so that every block is compared to the other block. So you flag and see differences. So you can then validate the differences. It's very, very simple. For us though, it's really about authenticity. It's about, you know, I use a binary example, zeros and ones. So in something that is not truthful, could we even give that any value? If something is non-truthful, we'd have to give it a zero value. If something is truthful, we don't know what the power is, but let's give it a value of 1. If something is true, it's 1. If it's false, it's 0. If I apply 1,000 units of energy to false, I get 0. If I apply that same energy to true, they get 1,000. I continue to build. It's about the efficiency of it. It's about no loss, because it's very small margin. And we have to transfer as much value into the hands of the poor as possible. I ask this question all the time. And if anyone's listening or watching, if every piece of packaging that you encountered, didn't matter what it was, bottle, container, was $5 US, how many would you walk past?
None.
So it has nothing to do with the plastic, it's you. It's us. 0 to do with the plastic. Stop blaming everybody else for your inaction. My God. So we have to do the same thing in the areas we work in. We have to be able to exhibit that packaging and that material having high value. So when they can exchange it for school tuition, like within Haiti, with 100 and some odd schools that we're operating with now, it's been a challenge because of COVID and everything else this year. We should have added a few hundred more. Families can now use the plastic to pay for the school tuition because the government doesn't pay for school, so it's user pay. It's around $20 a month per child. Most can't afford it. 200,000 children currently, or more probably today, are not going to school in Haiti. That's a for sure. Poverty will never end. Illiteracy will never end. How poverty is. So, but now the family gets to look at plastic and go, oh, hold on a second. I can actually use that to pay for the tuition of my child. I didn't have the money before, but I can collect enough plastic in a day to pay for the tuition. So it's not the plastic or even the $20 anymore that they view it as. They view it as literacy for their child. And the end result of that is the end of poverty in the family. So it's not the plastic, it's end of poverty. You see, that's the way that one of the ways that we multiply the value perception of the material. That's as well why the banking application, because it's a bank account, now it's an asset. I can borrow greater money. So the plastic that I actually bring in and deposit has greater value when I borrow against it. This is a beautiful, simple, basic financial principles.
Pretty simple.
Which we just bring and make very applicable into the hands of the poor. It's really quite simple.
It's simple, and like you said, it's a win-win. Who pushes back against you?
I haven't had anyone push back against them.
You said you've had death threats.
Oh yeah, that very, very early days.
I call that a pushback.
Very early days, that's some pushback. Very, very early days from recyclers who thought that we were going to come in and take away their businesses. Which is where we truly pivoted to be like, oh my goodness, you're right. I can see where there could be threat there. Well, certainly we need to create a license model. We don't want to they're already recycling. Let's work with those good recyclers. Let's create a business system for them. Let's add value for them. Let's make sure they're of course. Why would we want to do it ourselves anyhow? You see, everything is an instruction, not an obstruction. Yeah, early days were tough.
So lately, the resistance isn't there. People see as a winning model.
No, Coca-Cola has become a customer. Hugo Boss, SC Johnson. We got one of the world's biggest car manufacturers coming on. We got some of the oldest banks in the world participating. We have hundreds of customers.
Nice.
It's so cool. It's amazing. It's amazing. I can't. There's so much going to occur this year as well. You're going to see us on so much more packaging this year. Social plastic. It's been really profound. I mean, from an idea that I was so terrified over, to see it on the shelves of every store I go into, it's pretty cool. Right? As an entrepreneurial journey, it's really epic.
Yeah, what I enjoy about this conversation, we happen to be talking about topics you and I love, the ocean, helping people. But for anyone listening, they might have a completely different passion, and it's
everything.
It's everything.
There's something in it for everything. It's an abundant model. It's an abundant mindset, and it's abundant thinking, which is really the theme I'm trying to leave here. It's just thinking. It's just thinking. It's abundance, thinking of abundance, and that came to me from giving up old self. I mean, it's to die and be born again. It's to die old self, to be born as infinite, as anything, as everything.
And what's inspiring to me about this, it's not like, oh, we need to figure out some technology that doesn't exist and it's
zero
impossible.
Totally.
It's simple. It is us.
It's simple, and yet for many, inventing a new piece of technology would be easier than confronting self.
Yeah.
To give up some old paradigm that they want to be right over is more difficult for many, because that's vulnerable. That self, where technology lies out there.
Yeah. My hope is that the madness that's occurring in this country in this moment, that as crazy, for lack of a better word, as it is, that we needed to kind of hit rock bottom to open our eyes to what you're saying. like it had to get ugly. Like if everything's just
Of course it
cruising along,
does.
right, if my
Oh,
life is just cruising along and everything's fine, the hell am I going to go look in the deep darkness of my soul? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep cruising. Like we normally have to, something horrible typically has to happen in life for people to have, unfortunately, a massive awakening. And I think hopefully as a society, that might be what's occurring. That at least the optimist in me wants to believe that is
no,
what.
I believe that. And I believe that with COVID as well, in combination to all of that.
Oh, just
I think it's
everything.
just a beautiful, perfect storm. I think it's remarkable. And I remind you as well that we don't need all of society to be that today. We just need a handful of leaders that are born today that are inspired to go make change.
That's a great
We
point.
need the next leaders for the next generation are being forged today.
I guess I go under the assumption anyone that would be attracted to this kind of conversation is that leader, someone who wants to be that leader, but maybe is lacking in their mind, at least the know-how, or needs a little boost and the courage, like you mentioned. Because to me, that was the big shift. Yes, you had your awakening, but there was a courage. You somehow summoned
the courage.
the courage to act upon the simple idea.
Yeah, that's what I had courage.
Yeah.
I had courage. Turns out the courage was forged from persevering my childhood and persevering my life, persevering entrepreneurship. I had been practiced at courage.
And loss.
And loss, yeah. Yeah, beautiful practice for an abundant, beautiful, infinite life.
Let's shift a little bit. You and I, in one of our past conversations, we were talking about the difference between sustainability and regeneration. I think it was you who said, or I'll just ask as a question, should we be dropping the word sustainability and talking more?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We're beyond the point of sustainability. Look at the damage that's occurred in the environment. What happened? Truly, like, let's think, I'll be sustainable. I won't do any more damage. Oh, okay. And what? Okay, the Earth's on fire. The ocean's dying. Okay, good. Okay, good. But you're sustainable. Congratulations. Awesome. You're not going to kill anything anymore. What about the 50 previous years? We have to be in a regeneration. And there's abundance in a regeneration. It's creating new. It's creating more in a regeneration. Sustainability is finite. It's a nothing. It's a zero. Regeneration is additive. Additive. Shareholder return is a sustainable model. The world is asking us for more. Plus, I want to regenerate the human. How do I regenerate the individual person? I want to regenerate you. I want to regenerate the plastic. I want to regenerate the earth. I want to regenerate the ocean. The ocean should be more abundant. Well, untold riches lying in the ocean of which we disregard. There's so much more for the world. For sure.
100%. And like you said earlier, the people that you're working with in impoverished areas, they're not thinking this way. They're just trying to put food on their table, feed their kids, educate themselves and their kids. So the work that you're doing is uplifting them. And then it's our own work. It kind of leads to the question of, like, okay, to me, the purpose of this conversation, the purpose of this podcast is twofold. One, to show people the work of people like you, to create a platform for people that are committed and focused to solutions to the challenges the ocean faces. And then the other side of that, if not more important, is I want to help empower our listeners. The people watching us right now, I'm going to assume they already love the ocean. They love that maybe they were attracted to me because of my passion for the dolphins and whales, and who doesn't love dolphins and whales? So, but they're frustrated because they see, the world on fire and they don't know what to do. They're frustrated. They're concerned about themselves. They're concerned about their children. They're concerned about the future.
They're overwhelmed. They don't know where to start.
They're overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So that's my question. Talk to the person watching right now. What can they do to make a difference in their own life?
They don't know where to start, where what they need to do is start on self. That is a self-limiting belief. I can't do it. I don't know where to start. That is a condition that has been taught to you. That is something that you've learned. That you may fail. It may be finite. You might not be able to do that. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start where I might be able to have success. I don't know where I might be able to start where I don't have failures.
Or it could start, but I'm not good enough. Who am I to do?
Et cetera, et cetera. Insert excuse.
I'm not worthy. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's much more about stopping than starting. It's about, for me, it's been stopping to carry all of the burdens of my past, all of the conditions, all of the limits of my life, all of the things that I thought were due to me and not due to me. Finite ways of thinking. One way of thinking is finite. Anything is about, I can do anything and everything. What can't I do? I can learn, I can do anything. I have a phone that has the knowledge of mankind in it.
That's right.
What can't I learn? What can't you become? If you wanted to become a neurosurgeon and you dedicated yourself to it today, God, it will take some time. Could you do it?
I don't really want to, but yes.
Okay, great. For sure. You know what? That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
But you could.
Yes.
Of course you could. There's nothing that you can't do. And so, I commend the spirit of the conversation. I commend the new thinking, and let it be a place of new thinking for people. So they come and they're open, and because what the world needs are people who are alive. It needs you to be alive in the world, creative in the world. The world needs more leaders. And a leader is just that person courageous enough to act. It's the courageous action of those that lead.
So it's not necessarily a becoming as much as a shedding of old beliefs.
Shedding of old belief.
Old paradigms.
Yeah.
Preventing you from being who you already are.
Totally esoteric, totally nebulous for most people, but totally true.
And I would have expected nothing less from you.
But it is so powerful. It's so true. There's layers inside of that thinking, but when you you get to this place, I get such a beautiful relationship where I get this place of confrontation of oh, what? Oh, I get angry and I'm like, oh, it's her. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. She's just so good. Oh, hold on a second. This is what's like, oh yeah, you're going crazy. I'm gonna be over here. And I get to go, oh, hold on a second. I'm like, oh, all that meaning that I was placing on it and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, let me put it down. Hold on a second. And then I get to kind of blossom through it. And someone that holds a space for you is a real powerful thing, right? So yeah, every day is a way and a learning of putting things down, and that becomes exponential as well. Recognizing what I think to be true. It's everything, it's anything. It could be anything. I don't know. Is it this way? Is it that way? I don't know. It's nothing. It's everything. It's whatever I want it to be.
I love it. Yeah, self-realization. It's realizing what already is. It's not discovering something new. It already is.
Right. So it's surrendering. That's called, I guess. You get to surrender all the time. Oh, what? Surrender. And then I get to think creatively, oh, what else is available? Oh, if you could dream of anything, knowing that you would never be able to fail, what would you dream of? What would you dream? What would you do if you knew it was possible? If you knew that it was successful, if there was no risk, what would you dream of? Okay. Lots of beauty in that, the entirety and the depth of that conversation, more than an hour of it.
Yeah.
If I was to leave anything with anyone, it would be just that conversation. Always is. It's just the becoming or ending of who you think you are, so that you can unleash the absolute infinite, unlimited creator that we all are. We are all the creator, creating. Yeah.
And we're also the destroyer.
It's a creation as well.
Yeah.
You're just choosing, you're not, maybe not powerfully choosing.
Exactly. I'm saying the mind has the ability to create.
It's always creating. The creation may be the instruction, but it's still a choice still that choice. You're a creator.
So if anyone's watching and they're inspired by you and the model of Plastic Bank and they wanted to get involved, what's the best way?
Plasticbank.com. There's 1,000 ways, maybe not 1,000. I don't know. There's a few. There's a lot of ways. And they reach out, they participate, they tell other people about us, and they act in a way that is in line. They act in integrity. Number one, they refuse single-use material. They refuse excessive packaging. They refuse virgin plastic. They do all of those things as a successful human would stand forward for. Number one. If they have to use the material, they ensure its second life, third life, fifth life. They ensure its recyclability. They make a stand of that. They demand that wherever they go, that people provide them with recycled content to create a demand, further demand for recycled content. They're not careless. And then when they've done all that, then they go to plasticbank.com.
In that order. David, you are amazing. I knew this would be a fun conversation. There was no doubt about that. But give me I want to ask you for final thoughts. Everything you shared in the last hour could have been a final thought, but what are your, again, for that person watching, they're overwhelmed, they're frustrated, they care about themselves, they care about their children, they love our planet. They want it to be healthy for themselves now. They want to leave a healthy planet behind. What do you say to them?
They act as the world is a healthy place. Mm-hmm. They live there. They live in a world of that. They carry themselves from that place. They speak from that place. They invite others into that place. See, it begins with self. We become the creator. We are the creator. And when we live into the creation, we speak from the creation, we invite others into that creation, is way more likely to exist. You don't have to do anything other than just speak from its existence.
Act as if.
Act as if.
Beautiful. David, we'll share some links for sure of Plastic Bank, maybe your TED Talk, which is super inspiring. Personally, I'm super excited about not only our relationship in terms of the fundraising that we hope to be doing a lot for you so that we can give careers to a lot more incredible people and help them rise to greater places in their lives, and also prevent a whole bunch of plastic from entering into the ocean. So I'm very excited about that. And I just love having you in my life. I think kind of to your point, we need crazy people like you around us to be in this conversation. This is not a conversation most people have on a daily basis. So it's very uplifting to have you as a friend of mine. And
thanks, Rich. That's nice.
I call you a friend, and a lot of people. A lot of. Oh yeah, well, a lot of people that work for Plastic Bank are friends too, and
yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to the day where we can be on the beach here in Laguna or up in Vancouver and hug and
anywhere for sure.
Play with some dolphins and whales. Let's do it.
Yeah, you bet. Deal. That's beautiful, Rich. Thank you. And thanks for creating the conversation.
You got it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. All right, everyone. That is our show. Thank you, David Katz. Check out Plastic Bank and let's create a better world together. And according to David, it starts with creating a better world inside of us all. So let's make it happen. Thank you.